Okay, good afternoon, class. And also good afternoon to the pilot teachers and the students watching. You can sit down. Our lesson today will see us look at some more mapping skills, and today we'll basically look at directions and bearings. But before we go on to looking at directions and bearings, let's recap very quickly on what we have covered yesterday. Yesterday we looked at an introduction to map reading, and I also mentioned that any good map must contain 4 important components. What are those 4 components that any good map should or must have? We start from the front. Give us or give me one of those components.
A scale.
Okay, very good. We have a scale. Any good map should contain or must have a scale. What is the second component?
A title.
A title or heading, good. The third one?
Key.
Key. Or we could also have symbols or legends, of which they all represent the same thing. And finally?
Direction.
Okay, direction. So here today we are going to look at the third component of any good map, and that is directions. And when we are dealing with directions, we are also going to include being able to give or calculate the bearing of a particular place to another area or from a particular place to another place. Okay, so here goes. We're looking at the 4 important components of any good map, and that is a title or heading, directions, of which on maps you might have indicators to indicate the north direction or an arrow to indicate the north direction. The rest of the other directions you can work out if you know the north direction from a map. We also have scale, of which we are going to do some work on scale a little bit more in detail in our next lesson. And we also have the keys and symbols, of which we covered yesterday. Looking at keys and symbols from what we have covered yesterday, they are important components of any map, because if we are to put in items or features on a map, it might take all the space if we have to draw a building, or we might have to put all the trees and etc. So to have keys or symbols, it makes it a little bit more appropriate for that information. And yesterday we did some activities on symbols or keys or legend, and most of you found that it was easy for us to actually interpret using that particular component. We'll move on today, and today we're going to use our atlases, page 10 and 11. That's again the map of Papua New Guinea. And with that information, we're going to look at activities to do with finding directions, and as well as that, we'll work on activities to do with calculating or finding bearings. We'll start off first with directions. So I'd like you also to refer to the handout or the worksheet that was distributed. From our information on the worksheet or the handout, under the heading on directions, it tells us that directions or direction helps determine the relative location of features. So if we are going to send you to the staff room, you should know which direction you should be heading towards to go to the staff room. If we were to send you to go to the 12B classroom, you should know which direction you should be heading to go to the 12B classroom. Similarly, when you look at maps and you are told that you are going to follow a certain direction, you should be able to interpret or work out correctly so that you know where you will be heading to. So directions is important, or they're important. Let's look at the next section on interpreting directions. Usually, being able to use a topographic map helps us able to find and know about where things are located when we are dealing with directions. It is also important for us to know that there are 3 important not 3 important points, but there are 3 important items that we need to know about when we are dealing with the north direction. And they are 1, the points of the compass, 2, the north point, and 3, bearings. Looking at the points of a compass, dealing with directions, there are 4 important cardinal points of a compass. And those 4 important cardinal points, or the main, not important, but the main cardinal points of the compass are the north direction. If we have to put that up on the board, we have the north direction. That is 1 point, cardinal point of a compass. Knowing the north point, we should, or we can be able to work out the west direction, the east, and the south. So those 4 cardinal points of a compass, the north, south, west, and east, are the 4 main, what we would usually call the 4 main cardinal points. So if you were asked to give the cardinal points straight away, you can say the north, south, west, and east. Grade 7, 8, 9, and 10, giving directions, usually we would find an area that falls maybe closer to those points, and we would usually just say that area is to the north, or to the south, or to the west, or to the east. But in grade 11 and 12, you would be expected not to only know the 4 cardinal points of a compass. Rather, you will be expected to know about the 16 points, cardinal points, or 16 points of a compass. So beside the 4 cardinal points, we also are expected to know about the direction that is between each of those 4 cardinal points. What I would like you to do now, on the worksheet that you have been given, I'd like you to see if you can quickly plot in the other 4 points of which comes between the 4 main cardinal points, and label them according to which letters will identify or indicate which direction. So in between, I'd like you to quickly put in the other 4 points beside the main ones that are given. Okay, it should not take you long. A minute would be sufficient for the completion of that. And I think most students already have that information. Okay, let's check the name of the direction which is found between the north direction and the east, directly between the north direction and the east direction. What is that direction referred to as? And we'll go around for our answers.
Northeast.
Okay, good. Double check, everyone. We should have the northeast direction that is found between the north and the east direction. Good. The direction directly between the south and the east direction. Anita?
Southeast.
Okay, good. We have the southeast direction. Direction directly between south and the west direction. Givest?
Southwest.
Okay, southwest, good. Then we have the direction between north and west. Solomon?
Northwest.
Okay, northwest. Okay, again, with this, no problem. This we already know from what we've covered in grade 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, we also expected to know not only the 8 points, we need to put in the other 8 points, of which will give us what we call the 16 points of a compass. Okay, what I'd like you to do now, the next thing, is I mentioned that we should know the 16 points of a compass. So therefore, I'd like you now to include again on what you already have, the direction between north and northeast. Similarly, the direction between northeast and east, east and southeast, and etc., until you come to the direction between northwest and north. And that should take you again 2 minutes for the completion. So when you have completed that, we should have 16 points of a compass rather than just the 4 cardinal points. you can double check with it to make sure that you've got it correct. So that's your double checking checklist. Okay, so that's our 2 minutes, so we'll check. Okay, let's move on with our answers there. The direction between the direction north and northeast.
Northeast.
Okay, northeast. Good. Direction between northeast and east.
East, northeast.
Okay, good. We have east, northeast. Direction between east and southeast.
East, southeast.
Okay, we have this area here. East, southeast. Direction between southeast and south.
South, southeast.
South, southeast. Good. Okay, direction between south and southwest.
South, southwest, west.
Okay, we have south, southwest. Good. Direction between southwest and west.
West, southwest.
Okay, good. Here we have west, south, west. The direction between west and northwest.
West, northwest.
Okay, here we have west, northwest, and finally the direction between northwest and north.
North, northwest.
Okay, so here we have north, northwest. If you check and count, that would give us 16 points of a compass. So in our work, especially in grade 11 geography, you will be expected to use the 16 points of a compass when you are giving directions. So if a place is between the east direction and the southeast direction, you would be expected to give the east-southeast direction that is. Okay, so if we look at that information on our monitor there, it tells us there the 12 immediate compass points would be, sorry, not the 12, it's supposed to be the 16 immediate points of a compass, of which that would include also the 4 cardinal points. So altogether, if we count all of those, that is 16. So let's do some activities, and those activities will see us actually making sure we are able to give directions correctly. So page 10 and 11. And the activities are, using the map on page 10 and 11, number 1, you can write this down so that use those exercises for the completion of the task. Number 1, what is the direction from Kavieng to Daru? That's activity number 1. What is the direction from Kavieng to Daru? Number 2, what is the direction from Wewak to Lorengau? What is the direction from Wewak to Lorengau? Question 3, what is the direction from Port Moresby to Lae? Direction from Port Moresby to Lae. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes. Again, I think 2 minutes is plenty of time to work on those activities, and then we'll correct those 3 activities. You refer to the map of Papua New Guinea on page 10 and 11 for the completion of those 3 tasks. And when you are giving your directions, where possible, try to be accurate and use the 16 points of a compass. Pencil there. Kevin. Got the first one done. Where is the northeast? Okay, east northeast. You got them now? Let me check. This is your maps. Okay, you're right. The last one, but must wait a little. Okay, we check. The first one, are you looking at? You're looking at from Kavieng down to Daro. So you put the indicator there, and then you come down to Daro, because it wants you from Kavieng to Daro. So it will be in the western, yes, definitely. And you can double check whether it is directly in between the west and the south direction, or is it in between those three other points that we've put in to give the accurate information. Okay, so that's our 2 minutes. So we will check on the answers to those three activities. Okay, the first one, let's check direction from Kavieng to Daro. Where are we supposed to stand? Okay, we're supposed to stand at Kavieng, and then we're supposed to get our direction to Daro. One of the things that maybe some of the students were doing was, number one, you were not where you are supposed to stand. A lot of students were not putting in the imaginary cardinal points of a compass to help tell the direction. And when you don't do that, you might get an answer which is not very accurate. Where you are supposed to stand, it is important that you put in an imaginary point, 4 cardinal points of a compass, the north, south, west, and east. And once you have that point, then you draw in a line to where you're supposed to get the direction to. Say, for example, Kavieng was here, Daro was somewhere out there. So those were the 2 points that you had to find the direction to. You put in the 4 cardinal points of the compass on Kavieng, because that's where you're trying to find the direction from and going to Daro. You put in your line that you want to find the direction to, and then you will be able to work out. If this is north, we have south, west, and east. Obviously, the direction would have to be one to the south and to the west. But it has to be a direction closer to those cardinal points, or those points that we have put in that we must know about, the south-southwest, the southwest, and the west-southwest. So when you have done that, what would be the answer then for the first exercise or activity? What is your answer?
West-southwest.
Okay, she's got west-southwest. The rest of you double check. If we had to put the indicator here, the 4 cardinal points, we are going here down towards Daro, and she has said her answer is west-southwest. Do you agree with her on that answer? No? Okay. What answer do you have for the first question? direction from Kavieng to Daru? Our friend next to the girl who's just given the answer. What is your answer then if it is not west, southwest?
Southwest.
Okay, he said it is in the southwest direction. Do we agree with him that it's southwest? Okay, most students agree, and I also agree that it would be southwest. So the answer is southwest. Number 2, what is the direction from Wewak to Lorengau? Wewak to Lorengau, our answer. This time, Wewak to Lorengau.
East, northeast.
East, northeast. Double check. Do you all agree with him that it is east, northeast? Okay, good. Then our direction from Wewak to Lorengau is east, northeast. And finally, what is the direction from Port Moresby to Lae? Moses.
North.
Okay, good. We look at the direction of Port Moresby to Lae. It's very close to the north direction. Therefore, we cannot give it north, northwest, or northwest. Because it's very close to the north direction, our answer is north. So the direction of Port Moresby to Lae, Port Moresby to Lae is in the north direction. Okay, with finding directions, again, I'll remind you, it is important when you are asked to give directions in grade 11 and 12 geography that you must use the 16 points of a compass. One of the reminders, so that you are able to find directions correctly, always know where you are starting. And from where you are starting, put in the imaginary 4 cardinal points of a compass. And when you do that, you will be able to correctly identify or find the directions to or from the different spots or location. This is important because if you don't put this, you might not be able to give accurately. Not only that, some of you may not even know where you are supposed to stand to get the direction. But if you know where to stand, then it becomes easy to identify and to locate a place and also to give the correct direction. This activity, not only the activity, but the point which I have just made is going to be very important when we move on to the next lot of tasks, and that is also giving information not only in direction, but also giving our information using bearings. And that's what we will move on to if there is no questions. Anyone has any immediate questions you'd like to ask with regards to what we have just done on directions? I think the main area for you to pick up on is getting to recognize, and not only recognize, to remember the other points of a compass of which we don't usually use. The points like north, northeast. Maybe for some of you, you might have never used this to giving directions. Now, I am telling you that you need to use those where it is appropriate. Directions like south, east, southeast, and east, northeast, west, southwest, west, northwest, and north, northwest. Those are the inclusions that we are putting together with the 4 cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, and the normal directions or the usual ones that maybe we've done already, the northeast, southwest, and northwest. You will need to use all those 16 points where appropriate. If there are no other questions, I am working on an assumption that at least we are aware of what to expect and also how to give directions or to use those 16 points when we are asked to give directions. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, the next activity that we are going to work on will be basically looking at also giving information on bearings, but this time we are going to be giving our answer not only by using the cardinal points of a compass, but also we will require or we will need to use protractors when we are giving our answers in bearing. But let's look at what is in store for us on bearings, and then we'll move ahead with some activities. Looking at giving information not only using directions, but also in using bearings. You will note that for us to be able to give the bearing of a particular place to another location, it is important for us to work out where we are supposed to stand again and to where we are supposed to take the bearing of. It is similar to what we have done on directions. But this time, instead of giving our answers in the cardinal points, we are going to give our answers in degrees. We know that in bearings, we must give our answers using degrees. And we know that if we are starting from the north direction, if we are starting, is usually at a 0 bearing. If we complete a full revolution right around and we come back to the starting point at the north direction, then we would have completed 360 degrees. So we'll have to double check whenever we are asked to give the bearing of the north direction. It depends on whether we are starting or we are finishing. So if we are starting, then the bearing of the north direction will be 0 degrees. If we are going to do one full revolution right around and come back to the north direction, then the bearing will be 360 degrees. If we look at the direction east, so we have the 4 cardinal points of a compass. I mentioned a while ago that the north direction is at the bearing of 0 degrees. If we are starting, if we complete one full revolution, then it would be at a bearing of 360. If we look at the east direction, it is this angle here that we are looking at to give us our bearing. So what would be the bearing of the east direction from the starting point, which is the north point? It would be at 90 degrees. Good. The bearing of the south direction from the north, so it is this angle here that we are looking at. At what bearing would it be? The south direction. No, we're not going to call out. Now we'll have Mason to give us the answer.
180 degrees.
Okay, so the direction south is at a bearing of 180 degrees. The direction west, it is this angle here all the way to this point from the north direction. At what bearing is the direction west? Tony.
270.
Okay,
degrees.
270 degrees. And then when we complete one full revolution right around, then we end up having 360 degrees. We're going to learn how to use that information to be able to give the bearing of places accurately. But before we do that, I would like you now to put in the bearing of those 16 points of a compass that you have constructed on your handout. I have done the 4 cardinal points already for you. I said the north direction is at a 0 bearing or 360. The east direction is at 90 degrees. The south is at 180 and the west is at 270. Tell me, what is the bearing of the northeast direction? What is the bearing of the southeast, the southwest, and the northwest? When you have done that, I'd like you to also include the bearing of the north, northeast, east, northeast, and etc. until you have completed the 16 points of a compass. You may use your calculators to help you do the work quicker. use your calculator to help you so it becomes more quicker. I did say. You have your calculators there, you can use your calculators. Makes the work a little bit more easier. You have a calculator? Use a calculator. Can help share your answers using that calculator. You can put it up for all of you to use, yes, to get the answers down quicker. I'll give you another 2 minutes and then we'll check your answers. For those students who have calculators, you may use the calculators. It will be a bit more faster for you to get your answers down. Still going around, yes, all this one, see? Use your calculator to work out. So what you simply do is you add, say for example, you add these two and you divide by 2 because this is right in the middle. 180 plus 225 divided by 2, what does that give you?
Oh, 22.5.
Oh yes, so if you,
So it is 180 plus 20. Oh, it's playing up again.
that's it. Exactly, so you work around that way. Got it completed? Okay, you can double check on that. Yes, that's good. So it completed, you got it? Okay. Right, we'll check on the answers and we'll have the bearings written in so that at least the rest of us can check and make sure we've got our answers correct here. Let's look at the directions now, starting from the northeast direction, and then we'll work to the north-northeast, east-northeast, and etc. Okay, we have the north direction at a 0 bearing of 360, the east direction at 90 degrees. The northeast direction, at what bearing would that be, the northeast direction?
45 degrees.
Okay, 45 degrees, and I think that's straightforward because we find that northeast direction is right in between the north direction and the east direction. So halfway between there, which is 45. Good. Let's look at the southeast direction. That is halfway between 180 and 90 degrees. So what would be the answer for the direction, sorry, not direct direction, but the bearing for southeast?
135 degrees.
135 degrees. Good. Let's look at the bearing for the direction southwest.
Southwest. 235.
235 degrees,
No, 25.
25, okay?
Yes.
225 degrees. 225 degrees. Good. Let's look at the northwest direction. What is the bearing?
315.
315. Okay, the rest of us, we check. We happy with those? Okay, but that's not all. Now let's look at the north-northeast direction. The bearing of the north-northeast direction.
22.5 degrees.
Okay, good. 22.5 or 22.5 degrees. The bearing of east-northeast.
67.5.
67.5 degrees. Good. The direction which is east, southeast. What is the bearing?
112.5.
112.5 degrees. Good. We'll look at the direction south, southeast. What is the bearing?
157.5 degrees.
Okay, 157.5 degrees. The direction south, southwest. What is the bearing?
202.5
Okay,
degrees.
202.5 degrees. The bearing of, is it west, southwest? What is the bearing?
247.5.
247.5 degrees. Good.
92.
Bearing of the direction west, northwest.
292.5.
292.5 degrees. And finally, the bearing of the direction north-northwest.
337.5.
Moses, would you like to stand up, please?
337.5.
337.5 degrees. Okay, so what we've just done is we've completed the 16 points of a compass, giving the directions, and as well as that we have given the bearings. And bearings will always be given in degrees, whereas our directions, we give them in the indicators or the points of a compass. Tomorrow, what we are going to do is we will look at how we can also give bearings similar to the activities that we've covered on giving directions. But this time, instead of giving the directions, we will use those activities to give the bearings of one place to the next or from one place to another place. And that's what we will work on today. I think that would also conclude our lesson for today. Your homework, what I'd like you to do for your homework is I'd like you to go through the worksheet or the handout that I have given, and I'd like you to read through especially the information on direction and also the information on bearings. Okay, class, if you can now stand up. Pilot teacher, today's geography keyword is direction. And good afternoon and thank you, class.